A great role of these cookie terrorists. What about the important? We need again to note their assassinations. One thing you know that. Another one is that femicides, pedocides, juvenicides, infanticide. These are the terrorist activities mainly carried out for their fulfillments that about the communal feelings more excited from all sides. These are the important points we need again to know. From Leviticus chapters 19 verse 18, we know that from the Old Testament, you shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the sins of your people, but you shall love your neighbors as yourselves. I am the Lord. Matthew chapter 22 verse 39. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbors as yourselves. Jesus taught to the people of Jewish peoples were quarrels during that times from the Genesis. Among the 10 lost tribes of these Israels, one of the Jewish communities were found in northeastern regions, wherein we may mention Sinna, Burma, Sinkuki, I mean that now, and Zomi, wherein the Mizoram, somewhere in Assam, and somewhere Meghalaya, Tripura, and the other like this against. That's why, on demands of the separate lands in connections with of present day situations of Manipur, they were proofs from the studies about the Bible, Genesis, I mean the Old Testament and the New Testaments, we find that they were all Jewish communities. Zo peoples either that Kuki Zo, we mean that they were the organizations under such umbrellas. That's why from the Naga communities, either that of these Meitei communities, they continue assassination and abducting of the innocent peoples according to terrorist activities. They were not indigenous peoples, I mean that Kuki terrorists, that's why they try to kill for their Kuki homelands, either that of the separate administrations. Because of that, we must be taken carefully. It is not easy ways. Innocent people of these 6 Naga communities were not released. That must be urgently released. Such 6 hostages without any conditions from my side. Central government as well as state government would think deeply this is not easy task, that foreigners, officials in Manipur state as well as Indian constitutions. India is my country. I need to help our country how to defend from the hands of the terrorists. We must love our motherlands because we are under Indian citizens. Manipur was a separate state, and the Mizoram also separate state under the Indian constitutions. According to constitution, we are the forms of the democracy, our governments formed by our people. That's why Mizoram governments, they must not officials and they must not meddle with our Manipurs, no right given to you. If you want separate homelands in Manipur state, no possible to give we Meiteis from my side, and then against your homelands must be given to your Kuki homelands, I mean that. Kuki homeland must be given to Mizoram idols, they must be written, the law of written through the Genesis according to the Israel's laws, 10 tribe idols, there are 12 tribes of the Israels. 7.5 of these Jewish communities approximately, the roundabout were found in America. This also I know from the Bibles according to their documents they read. The read about the cookies those were formed from the durable ears either step of these parrots. I know that you must not join either step suddenly. You must free from the officials of Maithai Lebak, that of these Manipurs. There were difference of the separate stands, like Manipurs and the Mizoram. You must not meddle with in Maithai Lebak for commotions. You must control yourself, and one thing you Mizoram state was Christianized, some of them, and the others were Jewish communities. According to that of the happenings about the more crime and crisis in Manipur, for the external aggression, it must be stopped urgently. That is why there were so many difficulties from the Indian constitutions. India is a separate country from the other country to compare with. According to our polity, either that of this Indian constitution, India is governed by the Indian constitution with the rights and the fundamental right and other different type of the free of education, freedom of religions, and freedom of speech. So many. According to that, our country India is run by. And one thing you know that I love my country India. That's why we must try to protect according to our constitution from the hands of these enemies. That's why some of the Zo, either state of the Kuki Zo and the Zo communities were involved for present situations of these Manipurs. You must stop from today's to here. If you are Christianized to believe Jesus Christ, from the immoral times our conditions to kill young men, girl, and other assassinations is being done according to Jesus' teaching. You know that now. You must love yourself as neighbors. You mean that now it was real explanations for me through that of these Bibles. I researched and investigations how does this crime, the crisis were happening for long since, not stopping like this again. And before the army, either that of these policemen, you must not talking so much. This wires all our constitutions beside the rule. You note again. We must help as we are citizen of the India, and from the tribal facilities, from the tribal welfare departments. That those who are Kukizo communities must be cancelled. That's why they were all foreigners. They came from Israel. That's why they must return to Israel without delays, because Israel governments in 1950, according to that of these relations, their relocations is being making compounds. To studies about the Bible, we know the realities. I judge it against all law and the order of this being false, but also I repeat once again how to do and how to solve it again. According to Barbel's, according to Barbel histories, cookie were not found its abbreviations meaning, but it was a Barbel history. No one could not explain it about this. Why we come to know this type of this condition, how to solve against the polity of India government and the polities of our Manipur's government. That's why all leaders are requested for urgent peacekeeping through our constitution. And one thing you notice now, when you see this video, you need again to discuss about like, share, and subscribe to discuss whether right or wrong. There is no wrongs according to my study. I researched again, they were all foreigners, they must return. Cookie terrorists grew poppy, they deal drug and they kill many Meitei and Naga. 6. Hostage of innocent Naga must be released without delay. This must be done. Such unlawful activities were done by the Kuki terrorists from 3rd May 2023. They fusiled from the Tangjing Hill, and Toronglawi also 2 Sindel were killed using RPG rockets, propellers guns, that special guns using, and somewhere nook and the corner of the Manipur they fusiled and killed many innocent people. It is not easy ways not to be taken by all the leader of India as well as leader of Manipur. All leaders of our Meitei Lepak will be alert. Such type of activities were done secretly. They could not face openly, but they assassination, child, and others, women, these are their main tasks according to the terrorist activities for exciting by the central government as well as state governments. To seize my videos and to discuss must be done by the central government, their private secretary, either that of their leaders to translate of different language, either that of this. Instead of I talk to Manipur, instead of I talk to Hindi and others language. That's why how to solve it again, these are important points I informs to all leaders. And one thing I know that my delivered speech for social medias to learn by all the students, either that of all our citizen of India, why does it happening, present situations according to the studies of these land arrivals of Meitei communities. Before joining to the foreigners, that in the conditions, for some condition, that now. Before joining, we Meitei Lepak under the Indian Constitution, there is no such type of the crime and the crisis. During the period of this, from from British period and the period of Indian government, such illegal activities were abounding in the massive range of blockading Manipur's hills. That's why how to solve it again. Any facilities, tribal facilities, either that of the Indians special job, lucrative job, and Indian civil service must be cancelled if anybody is found. Those who are terrorists, terrorists must not be patronized by the Indian government. I say once again, don't patronize terrorists. They must return their home. Laws of return to that of the Bibles, they were all Israelis, the Jewish people. According to my speech, my delivered speech, you are informed, be cares to be taken and judge it well against in different language to translate why short durables of these Meitei communities were disturbed by these Kuki militants, by the Kuki National Army, Burmese and Mizoram communities. Their group discussed and their resolutions were passed, and the writ was found by Smith again. Such type of these conditions were not the morals of the humanities. but you are Christian, it must not be done according to the doctrines, that of the Christian, the follower of the Jesus. You must stop from today's, and the peace urgently sprout. When you stop, all are finished. You must stop reorganizations for that of these cookie separate lands to demand from today's onward. This must I say for my delivered speech. You are requested, please like and subscribe and share, whether good or wrong, either right or wrong. That now to discuss for social media, everybody from Central is one of these education and part of the civic sense. In others to learn social science, that civic sense from today's onward. For more about this, subscribe the crisis of the cookie terrorists terrorized Naga and the Meitei indigenous people was quite durable for relevant authorities are requested from my side to bring peace. Otherwise, so many diseases may be caused. Such type of the puculations come from the top of the Tangjing Hill, either that of the massive range of these Manipurs. Manipur was blocked by the massive range of these hills. We Meitei community live peacefully, and the indigenous people of Manipur all are also peacefully. That's why such commotions being happening is that due to the cookie terrorists. They grew poppy and they try to lose our humanities. They try to lose our humanities. This was rejected. All the activities of this from the religious authorities. I request to you that just to stop such a violations, either that of the external aggressions. Soon after to finish such type of these terrorist activities, where in the Constitution accordingly we have to remember Article 352 will be applied for national emergencies powers to be declared from the side of the presidents. That will be finished within a minute. That's why I inform all my subscribers and others viewers also. I thanks in the names of God. Be peace be with you. Thank you all.